Okay, so first we're going to talk about chapters 7 and 8. And the first question we have here is, how can sports teams provide social cohesion? Um, One thing I think is that, like, people that would never be connected, that are different, like gender, race, like economic status in the community, like, sport brings them together, like by going to the events or going to like a local restaurant and like watching it all together. I think that creates a social bonding or social cohesion.
Yeah, I think a good thing that could provide social cohesion is probably. I mean, I know that some of my friends in the past would have liked to go to like a Minnesota Timberwolves or a Lynx like camp, but they couldn't afford it. And I feel like if we had more, if we had figure out more ways to have, I guess, I mean, more affordable camps, I guess, then I
Mm-hmm.
think that could bring a lot more people together because like the divide with a lot of people in sports is that people can't afford to go to some things or can't are jealous because some kids get to experience because they are coming from rich families, they could experience all these camps, and I think that could just kind of divide. Maybe have if we could bring everyone to the camp, I don't think there would be a divide anymore. I think if there's a way that we could do that, I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I think you could like split up. So say you have a franchise like the Minnesota Vikings, you could go to a lower income part of Minneapolis, and then part of the team can put on a camp um, in maybe a higher income part, and just get different people involved in different groups. Because if you just have one camp, you're going to be swamped. And I guess anyways you're going to be swamped with kids, but at least you're going to get different kids from different backgrounds, ethnicity, and different socioeconomic backgrounds too. So that's personally what I would do. Just put on different camps in different towns and different parts of those towns.
Yeah, and maybe make some of the camps free. I mean, I know that I can't. I know that's not like always the thing to do, but I think if you have a couple more opportunities to have maybe even free camps, that could actually bring people together and not have this like, oh, you have to pay $200 to do a 2 day camp, which is like I remember like back in the day, Steph Curry like had like 1 day camp in Hawaii. He had like his 1 day was $200.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I think some NFL football players there at the same time and held a free camp. So yeah, more people came to the camp that didn't have a price. Mm-hmm. So I think that needs to happen more.
For the next one, I mean, it's kind of like similar, but the how can sport facilities foster community pride and collective self-esteem? What do you guys have anything?
Yeah. So one of the articles that we had from this chapter was about Arthur Blank, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, and him and members of the Atlanta Falcons organization. They started a family foundation in Arthur Blank's name, and he's donated over $20 million to pay for a job training center called Westwide Works, and a new youth leadership program. I think it's called American Explorers, and homes for police officers to willing to like live in the area because the area around the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the new Atlanta Falcons Stadium, is pretty dangerous. So they're trying to bring more protection there. But I think that if you have the community's going to have more pride if they have more opportunities to succeed, and if they have ways to help, like if they have, I guess, places to get help and know that their neighborhood's not going to just go into shambles and it's going to be some dangerous place to live in. I think maybe having having this family foundation, having a job training center, having this youth leadership program is going to lead to less crime and farther less drugs being consumed. I just think it could just fully help. And Arthur Blank is also, he's a good man because he's working to improve the neighborhood and not just completely tearing it down and just building a new one. He's trying to help the people that live there already and not just trying to just like, oh, let's just get rid of all these homes and just build new homes for richer people that can't afford it. He's trying to improve the homes of the people that already live there, which I think is a pretty good example.
Yeah, one thing I would say is, so a place like Mercedes-Benz Stadium, a lot of kids go there for games. Well, I think it'd also be cool if, for community pride, if, so like a state semifinal game for Georgia and the finals, like if they played it inside the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, you could really get a lot of people to come, and it also gives the kids a chance to play in a world-class stadium.
Mhm.
So.
Okay, for the next one, how can major sport facilities help attract new businesses and tourists to a community? One thing that I read in the book was, so like, if you have good facilities, you can, when the Olympics come around, you can bid, to host the Olympics because of your good facilities. So that attracts a lot of tourists, especially, to come to the Olympics. And then also, if you need more like businesses, restaurants, hotels, stuff like that, those will be built too, and then that attracts more people too.
Yeah, I agree. Like another good example, the Detroit Red Wings, the hockey team Detroit, they're looking to build their new stadium, and they're one of the original 6 NHL teams, and it's a 48 block radius of businesses and entertainment, and I think that's going to be very beneficial because there's so many other businesses that are benefiting off of this, and it's improving the community, and it's not just upgrading the facility and not improving anything around it. So the fact that it's a 48 block radius is pretty significant. So that means just that Detroit will become a booming city because recently a quarter of the city's population, is slowly leaving, and most of the city was bankrupt like a couple of years ago. So I think having it's not 48 blocks, it's 45 blocks, but it's gonna just improve. There'll be also new housing, so about 500 new apartments will be built, along with 2,000 retail shops and restaurants. So that's just going to significantly improve the poverty level, and it's going to make Detroit like I guess like just better financially, more of an economic boom, and then instead of like the bankrupt city that people kind of know it by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just going off of what Carl said, I think a really successful sports facility. So, like, for example, the Golden State Warriors, like, they have a really nice facility in Oracle Arena, and their success is really giving a lot back to the Bay Area where they're located, and it just causes a lot of it gives off a lot of positivity in the community and helps attract in people, and it just attracts more businesses and just business opportunities and more people to come.
Yeah, I mean, if there's more development and more opportunities for people to like succeed, and it's not going to be a place that people are just going to like visit and just go.
Yeah.
People are going to actually want to stay there because the article that highlighted the Detroit Red Wings, a lot of people actually want to live in Detroit now because the fact that the Detroit Red Wings are significantly trying to improve that area around Detroit and actually make it like a kind of boom of a city. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, on to chapter 9. Did one of you want to talk about how the Vikings stadium was financed?
Okay, so from what a couple of the PowerPoints we had a couple chapters ago, I think it was about a 50-50 split, or maybe the ownership group paid more, but it was about a 50-50 split between the owner's money and tax money, which is good because it's going to benefit society. And
that's true. I mean, I think that's a good thing, but I mean, I think it's kind of still frustrating how we had to like pay so much taxpayer money just to get it paid. I mean, I think the Vikings it was like 1.5 billion for the whole thing for the whole stadium, which is like the most expensive thing that like sports facility that has ever been built in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I mean, it brought us the Super Bowl, but everyone was like, "Well, at what cost?"
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I guess that just kind of frustrates me as a sports fan. But
Yeah.
at least the Minnesota United, they're actually trying to improve that and not make that. Trying to use less public funding. So.
So, do you have anything to add, Kaylin?
No, I just thought when I was reading in the Vikings article for the chapter, it was saying how this year, or the year that stadium was built, it brought in, or Minnesota brought in like the most gambling tax money that it ever has, and so I think that helped finance the stadium a lot too. So that would be considered like the soft tax, and then us paying for part of the stadium would be like a hard tax. Yeah, so that brought in a lot of the financing too.
Good way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see that article about the in the city of Irvine, California, how they built that like huge sports complex? It's like supposed to be twice the size of Disneyland or something.
I read a little. I read a little bit of it. I mean, they're adding like a ton of volleyball courts, ton of basketball courts. They're hoping to make like, I guess people like experience, and it's supposed to be like twice the size of Disneyland.
Yeah.
And Irvine's one of like the top 5 places to like live in the country, and it's going to be extremely. Because I think I heard like 6 volleyball courts, 5 basketball courts, like tons of, and they're trying to, and when they're adding those courts, they're trying to bring more youth sports to it because youth sports is extremely important, and
yeah,
I think that's a really good plan. I mean, I saw like the kind of the how big it's going to be, and it just looks absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
It is very interesting. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all I have.
That's all I have too. Bye.